What's up, everybody? Chris Servichon here. BetterWayCPA.com is the website, and today I want to talk to you about who should your agency give a 1099 to. As we're recording this, it's the middle of January. We're being proactive about reaching out to our agency clients and advising them on who they need to give a 1099 to. And what we're finding is that there's just a lot of confusion generally about who gets a 1099, who doesn't. And so I kind of wanted to dispel some of those myths and rumors today with this video. So some key points. Who is an employee and who is a contractor? An employee is anybody who works for you, who does work for you, who you pay on a normal basis. You control how, when, where, why they do their work. You provide them with training. You provide them with the tools and the resources to do their job. Basically, you're controlling them in a very meaningful way. Now, who is a contractor? A contractor who is somebody who does work for you, but maybe it's sporadic. They're bringing their own software and their own tools. You're not really controlling how they do the work. You're just controlling the fact that they're doing work for you, that they're providing an output to you. So it's much more of a loose relationship. Now, you got to be careful because an employee gets a W-2, contractors get 1099s. The financial benefit to your agency is to have more contractors. Reason being, the contractor pays both sides of the employment tax, so payroll taxes. They pay both the employer and the employee side of that. Whereas an employee, you're going to share that cost. So the employer is going to pay the employer side, the employee is going to pay the employee side. It's more expensive to have an employee than it is to have a contractor. So the incentive for the business is to have more contractors. But like I just said, you've got to be careful. So what information do you need and when should you collect that information? So for a employee, you need to collect the W-4. Easy enough, you're going to give them a W-2. Contractors, which is really what we're talking about on this video, you're going to want to gather a W-9. Basically what that's going to say is this is the name of the person or the business, this is their EIN or social security number, this is their address, this is where you're going to deliver the 1099 to them at the end of the year, this is how it's going to be reported to the IRS, things of that nature. It's just an information it's an information sheet basically that the business is going to keep on hand in order to pay these contractors. You don't need to do anything with it, just keep it on hand. Not like you have to give it to the IRS, the state agency, anything like that, so no worries. Now, what is a 1099 and who gets a 1099? 1099s are given to contractors. We just laid out the difference between employees and contractors. A 1099 is basically an information return or piece of paper really that is provided to the IRS. It says we paid, so our business, our agency paid this person, this business, this contractor, such and such money during the course of the year. It's an information return. Basically lets the IRS know, much like a W-2, who you've paid, how much you've paid them, and so the IRS can kind of figure out, who owes what to them, at a very high level. So that's that. 1099s are due end of January 31st for the contractor, so you need to provide them with their information return, the 1099. Specifically, I'm referring to 1099 MISC, that form, the 1099 MIS in this video. And specifically for agencies, we're really worried about non-employee compensation. Basically, folks who are doing web development, or they're running SEO for you, or they're running ads for you, somebody who you're outsourcing your service to. And so they're due on the 31st of January. The IRS is going to get their form, which is a 1096. You're going to provide them with information about the 1099s that you've issued on the last day of February. So as we all know, leap years happen. It could be the 28th, it could be the 29th, whatever, last day of February. Here are the exceptions. So who do you not have to give a 1099 to? Payments to a corporation, C Corp, S Corp, those types of corporations. When we think about corporations, we're thinking about, the Adobes of the world, the bigger size companies who you're buying a service from, so a SaaS service, but they're corporations. They're not, Joe down the street who's helping you run Facebook ads. Payments to overseas non-U.S. person contractor. This is getting to be really important in the agency space. There is a growing amount of talent overseas, so non-U.S., who are, putting together SEO for agencies, who are doing web design. So our agency clients are utilizing overseas help more and more, overseas contractors. They do not need to get a 1099. Reason being, they're overseas foreign persons. They don't have a connection to the U.S., and so they're not going to file a U.S. tax return. They're not taxed in that U.S. They're not taxed in the U.S., so no need to give a 1099 to them. Payments for merchandise. We don't really see this much with agencies. Agencies mostly a service-based business. Payments to employees for business travel allowances. If you're giving an employee a per diem to go travel for business purposes, does not need to go on a 1099, but it may need to go on a W-2, so be careful there. And then payments made by credit card or payment network. This is a huge one. So payment network, PayPal, Venmo, services like that where you're, and then also credit card. So if you're paying your contractors via credit card, no need to do a 1099 MISC. The credit card processors are supposed to give a 1099K to those individuals, but there are limits there. Generally, it's above $20,000. So when we're talking about 1099 MISC, the contractors who you paid more than $600 to during the course of the year, 600 and over, you're going to give them a 1099 MISC only if those are basically cash payments, so non-PayPal, non-credit card payments. Now there's a gap between that $600 and $20,000 space where the 1099 MISC and the 1099K, start. There's an interesting article that I'm going to link to here in the notes today. But that's pretty much it. That's a very general, very high-level overview of who needs to get a 1099 and some of the general nuances that agencies we're finding or running into. But a couple of thoughts, key takeaways. Number one, be careful about how you classify employees and contractors. You need to make sure you're accurate here. If you're controlling how, when, and why, and where, and providing with training and resources to do the job, controlling the schedule, things like that, their employees, make sure you classify them as such, make sure that you're getting a W-4 from them, make sure that they're on payroll, all of those things. Number two, collect W-9s up front when you start working with a contractor. What you don't want, and what we see every single year, is this mad rush once we figure out, oh, we need to get so-and-so a 1099. It's the middle of January. Hopefully it's not late January because then that's a problem. But then it's a mad rush to go get a W-9 or, somebody did some service for you at the beginning of the year. They have since fallen off the face of the earth. And it's like, well, how am I going to get a hold of this person now? Get those W-9s up front. Make sure that that's part of your onboarding process for contractors, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. And then number three, the expenses by vendor report. That's what it's called in QBO, so QuickBooks Online, which is the software that we currently use in our firm. That report in the accounting software is your friend. That is the way that you should be identifying contractors who you need to give a 1099 to. Go in there, run the report for the full year, sort them by the amount, and anybody over that $600 amount, that's who you need to be looking at. And then go through and figure out, all right, did I pay this person $600 in cash, non-payment network, again, non-credit card payments, or, is it something else? Do I not need, or do I need for the financial institution to give them a 1099K? Where do they fall? So that's how you identify that. It's an easy report to run in your financial software. Resources for this video today, the Marketing Agency Sample Wayfinder is going to be linked in the show notes as always. IRS 1099 instructions, that's an important document to read. Super helpful. It lays out very clearly how to do the 1099s, who to give them to. The IRS About Form 1096. Again, that's the information report that you have to give to the IRS by the end of February that tells them exactly what 1099s you issued. There's a really good Forbes article linked here called Credit Cards, the IRS Form 1099K, and the $19,399 reporting hole. That's what I just referenced a couple of minutes ago. Great article. It talks about that whole issue between whether or not somebody needs to get a 1099 MISC or a 1099K. Highly recommend the read. Not that long, not that hard to digest. And then finally, the IRS reporting payments to independent contractors. Great resource, just as a very high-level overview with some other links in there and stuff like that that are good about putting together your 1099s. So finally, let's connect. Chris@BetterWayCPA.com. That's the email. 843-608-0298 is the phone number. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Quora, Pinterest, and Instagram. So pretty much everywhere. If you like this video, please like it, please share it, and please also hit the bell and subscribe if you want to see future content from us. And leave a comment below. Comments, questions, we love to hear those, and it helps us to develop the content going forward. So that's it for us today. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.